Welcome to part 2 of this crochet duck tutorial. If you haven't already watched part 1, make sure to go watch that, the link will be in the description, but otherwise let's get straight into it. So next up we're going to do the wings. So to start off with the wings, we're going to do 6 single crochets into the magic ring. Then for round 2, we're going to do 6 increases. Now for round 3, we will just single crochet round. For round 4, we're going to do 2 single crochets and an increase times by 4, which will take us up to 16 stitches. For the following round, we are just going to single crochet all the way around. For round 6, we are going to do 2 single crochets and a decrease times by 4, which will take us down to 12 stitches. For round 7, we will do single crochet, decrease, times by 4, which will take us down to 8 stitches. For round 8, we'll do 2 single crochets and a decrease times by 2. And for round 9, we will just single crochet round. So now we are going to leave a tail for sewing. And we'll finish off by pulling through. And now you are just going to make a second wing so that you have 2 wings exactly like this. So once you have made your second wing, and we have 2 wings, we're going to put those aside and we're going to move on to making the beak. So you're going to grab your orange yarn. And for the beak, we are going to begin by doing 4 single crochets into the magic ring. For round 2, we're going to do 4 increases, which will take us up to 8 stitches. For round 3, we'll do 8 single crochets. Now we're going to leave a tail for sewing. Pull through. And we're going to put the beak aside and move on to the feet. So for the feet, we're going to start off with 6 single crochets into the magic ring, but we're going to leave a bit of a tail on the slip knot. This will help us later when sewing. So 6 single crochets into the magic ring. Then for round 2, we'll do single crochet increase times by 3, which will take us up to 9 stitches. So now we're going to leave a bit of a tail for sewing. And then we're going to pull through. And now you're just going to make another foot, exactly like this one. So once you've made your 2 feet, we're going to put those aside and move on to the sewing. So we're going to begin by sewing the beak onto the head. So the beak will be sewed right between the 2 eyes. So it will sit like this. So we're going to grab our yarn needle. I'm going to start by sewing into the first stitch that I want it to go into. So right here. And basically I'm just going to sew around the beak. So I'm going to go into each stitch individually and then go back into the body each time. So once you are happy with how it's sewed on, I'm just going to bring my yarn through to a random point. And I'm going to cut it off. And this is what the beak will look like when it's been sewed on. So now we're going to grab the body because we're going to sew the head onto the body. So we're going to sew it on so that it sits like this. Both pieces have 12 stitches, so we'll basically just be sewing around the outside. So we're going to grab the tail from the head. And since the body is the same all the way around, we can just go into any point in the body and begin sewing round. So we'll go into 2 stitches of the head and then 2 stitches of the body. Then 2 stitches of the head. And then we'll continue this process all the way around. Once we are happy with how the head is sewed on, we can just bring the yarn down to around a point in the body and cut it off. So next up, we're going to sew on the feet. So we're going to start by getting the tail from the magic ring and putting that into our yarn needle. So this is how we'll position where we want the feet to go. So I want the feet to be around here in comparison to the beak. We want them to be at the front. So I want mine to be around here. So I'm going to go into the point that I want my feet, and I'll just bring the remaining yarn out here. And this way, as you can see, we've sort of positioned where it is. So now we can just sew around it with the other tail. So I'm just going to go into the body and then back into the feet multiple times to ensure that it is secure. Once we are happy with how secure it is, we're going to bring the tail to the same point where we put the other tail. So try to bring it to the exact same stitch. And then we're going to tie those two tails together. And then we're going to cut it off and poke it inside. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the other foot. So the duck's looking a little bit weird at the moment, and that's because we still have to sew the wings on. So grab your wings. I'm going to start by sewing the first wing onto the right side. So we're going to sew between the head and the body where we sewed it on. So I'm basically just going to put my needle in here, go across a few stitches and pull through. And then we're going to put our needle into the other end of the wing, pull through. And then we're going to go back into the body. I want to make sure the side facing inwards is just indented, so just press down on that to make sure it is. And we'll just keep going in and out of the wing. And then we'll just bring the yarn back to the back of the body once we are happy with how the wing is sewed on. And now we're going to sew the other wing on as well, and then we'll bring the yarn tail to the same point. And then we'll just tie these two tails off. So this is the completed duck plushie. I hope that you enjoyed crocheting your duck. If you did, then please make sure to subscribe and like. It would really help my channel. I upload new tutorials every week. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!